Affairs don't begin in the bedroom, they begin in childhood. In the part of you that decided she needed to bury her truth just to be loved. The part that's now screaming to be seen. I'm Alex Croxford, and this is the Deeper Love podcast, where we name the shame, face the guilt, and help you find your way back to yourself. So let's begin. So this week on Instagram, I had a reel that has pretty much gone viral. I mean, what does going viral even mean? I have had a post which has really kicked off, and I really wanted to bring it into the podcast because I wanted to be able to talk a little bit more on each of the topics that I brought up in this post. And I would describe this post as one of the spiciest posts that I have done because I just talked from the heart. In fact, I would say I shot straight from the hip. Not even talk straight from the heart. I do a lot of talking from the heart, but this one, I really feel like I hit some truths that most people in the betrayal healing space are not saying out loud. And I almost felt nervous pressing post on the post because I had no idea how people were going to respond. And actually, this post has been shared 424 times. It's been shared, saved hundreds of times. It's had so many likes. I've had so many messages. And so I've realized this is the kind of truth that you want to hear. And so I'm bringing it here onto the Deeper Love podcast so that we can delve a little bit deeper and we can open up the conversation further about some of the real truths that I believe about infidelity. So I will get onto them because I'm sure you're desperate to hear. So the first one is that the affair has nothing to do with your husband or your affair partner and everything to do with what is happening inside you instead. You've probably heard me talk a little bit on this before, but I want to dive a bit deeper because for many of you, I'm sure that you're sitting there thinking, but it is because my husband doesn't love me and he doesn't touch me anymore and we don't have sex, and my affair partner made me feel really emotionally met and safe and loved and seen, and the sex was amazing, and all of these things. And so obviously when I say that, you're probably going to be thinking, what do you mean, Alex? But the truth is that the affair is a moment of awakening to all the ways that you are not living true to yourself in your real life. So if you felt chosen and met and seen and alive in your affair, but in your marriage you feel like you're not seen and you're not heard and you're not met in the ways that you need to, it's because there is a pattern deeply embedded inside of you of protection. And the way that you are protecting yourself, I would hazard a guess, is you're not allowing yourself to be seen in your marriage, really. You might think you are, but probably not at a deep level. You're probably not being vulnerable. You're probably not really sharing what's true in your heart. And you're probably not choosing yourself in your marriage. You've probably put yourself to the bottom of the pile 100 times, if not more. You've probably prioritized other people's emotions above your own. You've probably said yes when you mean no. You've probably been going along with a plan that didn't actually feel good for you, potentially for years. And now you are having that mirrored back to you in your marriage. And so the affair feels like this total liberation because all of a sudden, all of the things that you're not having in your marriage are happening in your affair. But what's really happening, and this is what I see time and time again in all of my clients, is that in the affair, all of the ways that you learned to protect yourself because you were so scared of being seen as weak or vulnerable or too emotional or messy or any of the things that you might have been afraid of in your primary relationship, those ways that you learn to protect yourself in love, they almost disappear. They just have a day off. They're like, oh, okay, great. Now we can be free. Because in the affair, there is less risk. Because it's a fantasy. There is less risk of your heart being broken, in inverted commas, because obviously that's not how it actually feels. But you are not playing out the same childhood wounds in your affair as you are in your primary relationship. So it's not that the affair partner is this magical unicorn that is the only person that's going to make you feel a certain way. And by the way, it might feel like that too, and that's okay. And if you are now in a relationship with your affair partner and it feels magical, I am celebrating you for that. But what I want to be real about is that, and be careful about, is that we don't pedestalize this person as being the only way that we're going to feel a certain way, because it's not true. And actually, what I believe is with enough work, it is possible to feel that same way in your current marriage and in your life generally. And even if that feels 100 million miles away right now, that's because the work that you have probably been doing up until this point is only dealing with the mind. It's not dealing with the body, and it's still leaving you with the same protective mechanisms that you've always had your whole life. And you don't need to know how you're going to get from here to whatever it is that you want to feel, but you do need to know that there is another way. And if you stay stuck blaming your husband for why you acted out, or your affair partner for making you feel a certain way, then you are missing the whole point of this invitation into initiation, which is to finally start to meet yourself in a whole new way. And that's really and truly why an affair happens, because of that pain. You cannot ignore it anymore. So, number 2, there's some big concepts in here. Hold on to the sides. Number 2, you can cheat on someone you love, and no one cheats in a relationship where there is healthy conflict, emotional intimacy, and both people are asking for their needs to be met and are actually having them met. So the thing is that so many times people say, oh my gosh, my marriage was so perfect. I don't understand how I cheated. And this was me too. I thought my marriage was perfect. I couldn't understand how this had happened, even though I felt this sense of loneliness or something was missing. But what I see time and time again, and also in my own marriage, was there was a lack of any depth. There was a lack of emotional intimacy in my marriage. And for a lot of people, there's a lack of sexual intimacy too in their marriages. And it's just something that's kind of been accepted to a degree and not really talked about, brushed under the carpet, or something that we'll deal with another day. And it's not ever been addressed. And so you might still love your husband, but it doesn't mean that your relationship is perfect or didn't have problems that you weren't aware of. And so love, again, doesn't really come into it. You can absolutely cheat on someone you love, because most of us are in love or have love for the person that we are in marriage with, but we are potentially not in the most healthy of relationships. Because to be quite honest with you, none of us really know how to be in a healthy relationship. That is one of the biggest problems that we face, is that we are all thinking that we know how to be in a relationship because it's love, and we know love, and we know the experience of love, and we see relationships on the movies or on television or in books or film and music. So we think we know, but we really don't. We don't know how to communicate. We don't know how to share what's true. We don't know how to ask for our needs to be met. We don't know how to have healthy communication or to be able to respect each other in many ways. So I think that really and truly, even if you feel a lot of love for your husband and you can't understand how you got here, there is probably some stuff that you are not aware of that were creating some big holes and distance in your marriage. Okay, number 3, the affair partner is a catalyst for your awakening, not your soulmate. If they made you feel seen, chosen, alive, and free, it's not because they're special, it's because they are there to wake you up to the ways you've been living a life not true to you. So someone said to me in my world, she said, I don't think I'm meant for your spaces because I am having a relationship now with the person that I was in an affair with. And you often talk about how someone that you had an affair with isn't actually, your soulmate. You're not meant to be in a relationship with them. And I just want to clear something up, because I'm not saying that you aren't meant to be with this person. I have no idea. Unfortunately, I wish I had those kinds of psychic powers. I don't, so I don't know. But what I do know is that we can pedestalize, as I said, our affair partner as being this person that is the only person who will see us like this. And it must be this soulmate connection that I cannot ever find anywhere else. And it can keep us in this incredibly challenging space of idolization and of feeling like we are never going to be this happy in any other way in our lives. And I want you to know that that's not true. Just because you felt chosen and alive and seen for the first time in your life with your affair partner, that doesn't mean that it ends with them. Now that moment of awakening has to be turned back onto you. How did that person make me feel? Or how did I feel in that situation? And how do I want to feel in my life? If you want to feel alive and seen and chosen and met in your life, then stop putting it on somebody outside of yourself to make you feel like that. It's your work to do to see yourself and meet yourself and choose yourself. And you'll hear me say this over and over and over again. And there is absolutely a way to do this. You're not meant to know how to do it right now, but this is the work. Do you want to live an entire life where you have to put feeling a certain way on the outside of you? Or do you want to take that power back? Yes, have connection with other people, and also be able to meet yourself in the way that you want other people to meet you. If you don't believe you're worthy of love, how are you ever going to meet someone who makes you feel worthy? If you don't believe that you're good enough, how on earth are you going to meet somebody that makes you feel good enough? If you're going to keep abandoning yourself, how are you going to find someone that's not going to keep abandoning you? It doesn't add up. And we are in this fantasy idea that someone is going to come along and save us from our own pain. And that's thanks to, the knight in shining armor story. But it doesn't work like that. We have to be our own knight in shining armor. And then whatever, either our current relationship or our future relationship will mirror that back to us. That's how it works. The betrayal isn't the first betrayal. So you've heard me say this a million times. And it's come after years of putting yourself last, years of abandoning yourself, years of saying yes when you mean no, being the strong one, the one that doesn't need anyone. And when you put everybody else's emotions ahead of you, when you put yourself at the bottom of the pile, eventually that makes you feel numb and that makes you feel disconnected. And when someone feels numb and disconnected, they will look for that excitement, that aliveness, that freedom, that joy outside of themselves, because it is impossible to find inside, and therefore inside your primary relationship. And that's what every woman says. In their affair, they felt alive. So for years, if you've been putting yourself last and destroying your own sense of self in your relationship, when someone comes along and it feels like they've unlocked a part of you that now is, it's like life, oxygen, it's going to be irresistible, totally irresistible. And so the next one, number 5, is you have to take accountability. Blaming yourself, blaming your external circumstances, i.e. your husband or the situation that you are in, means you're missing the whole point. And again, someone mentioned to me that feels really hard because my husband did do X, Y, and Z and didn't do X, Y, and Z. How can I ignore that? I'm not telling you to ignore that, but I'm saying don't get lost in it. Like, there are some real things that happen. Our husbands are moving to the other side of the world and leaving us, alone. But also our husbands are studying for something, or our husbands are training all the time for something. And the reality is that's happening. And also, were we in that relationship speaking up when things felt bad? Were we asking for something that we need? Were we asking for more time, for more space, for more energy into the relationship? And if we were, and we found a way to communicate that with kindness, and it's still not being met, then why are you still in the relationship? Why are you staying? And so we always have to look at, what is it meaning about us? What is this showing inside of me that I kept doing? And this isn't to shame you even more, but this is so that we stop putting it outside of us. Because again, the more that we blame everybody else for how we got here, we aren't drinking the medicine that we need to. and an affair is an awakener, we have to wake up to all the ways that we aren't being true to ourselves, or that we've been lying to ourselves, or we've been living a way that isn't actually who we really are. And that is true. That's taking accountability, not telling somebody's wife that we've had an affair with their husband. That's not taking accountability. Taking accountability is actually looking at you. What led you here? What are the patterns that have been running under the surface your entire life that have made you act in this way? Because that is taking true accountability, and that will change your life for the better, without a doubt. And number 6, this one's spicy, although I did address it in a couple of episodes ago. So once a cheat, always a cheat isn't the whole truth, but it's not completely wrong either. If you go back to the same staying quiet, the same self-abandonment, the same life that made you feel invisible, you will end up here again. Not because you're a terrible human and cheating is just in your nature, but because the thing that drove you there was never addressed. So really, again, like, you won't necessarily not cheat again. I'm not saying you definitely will cheat again, but the thing that we need to work on is the pattern underneath the cheating. The cheating is just a symptom. But we get so fixated on the betrayal because, of course, it's absolutely devastating. The trauma is so real, but that amount of trauma and that amount of pain doesn't happen unless we are being invited into change. It becomes impossible to ignore. A lot of people do, but for anybody that's in my world, I believe that you're here because it's time to actually start to look at yourself and really start to learn yourself in a whole other way, not in the way that you already know. I'm talking about something completely different. Not just understanding yourself, understanding your patterns, understanding your trauma. That will only get you one level deeper. I am talking about getting into the body and the nervous system and doing the work to actually change the pattern. And if you change the pattern which lies beneath the cheating in the body, not just in the mind, that is how you become the woman who never cheats again. And this is the work that we do in all of my spaces, whether or not you come into the Healed Heart or one-on-one or the Sanctuary. We do the work at a somatic level because that, as far as I'm concerned, is the level at which true change happens. And so if you're still stuck going round and round in circles in your head thinking, I've been having therapy, but nothing seems to be changing, then I would invite you to take a step in a new direction, something far more based in the body and based in the nervous system, because that's truly where change happens. And if you're right in the aftermath right now and you are lost and thinking, oh my God, please help me, someone, I really understand that. I've been there. So many of my clients have been there. If you look in the notes, I have a free resource in there for you. It's my Aftermath Survival Guide. So give that a download and I will see you next week. Thank you for listening to the Deeper Love podcast. If today's episode spoke to you, hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And if you're ready to go deeper, you'll find all the ways to work with me in the show notes. Until next time.